Chapter 3 Roses Are Red. Friday, June 14th, 3:57 p.m. The strong, pungent smell of mildewed towels under the kitchen sink would be unbearable to most, but is nothing Owen hasn't dealt with before. A couple quick turns of his wrench tightens a slip nut at the top of the leaky trap pipe, literally starting and finishing his job all at once. He removes himself from his damp, cramped surroundings and stands tall over old Mrs. Friedman as he dusts off his blue work uniform. Her old white and slightly weathered cheeks glow red when she catches a glimpse of his smooth, brown, glistening muscular chest, wet from the dripping water underneath the sink through a partially unbuttoned shirt. He removes his gloves, but then fishes around inside the left one, squeezing at the fingertip until his gold band slips out into his palm.
Gets caught in there sometimes.
He smiles. He then turns on the faucet and checks under the sink once more.
That'll do it. It's dry as a bone now.
He shuts it off again.
Looks like you had another loose nut, Mrs. Friedman.
Sweetie, I've had a loose nut for over 45 years.
Her eyes gesture towards her husband, watching TV in the recliner.
If a wrench could have fixed that one, I would have hit him over the head with it years ago.
They both laugh as Owen tosses his tool in his bright red metal craftsman toolbox, then flips the two latches shut.
Okay, Mrs. Friedman, that should keep things going for a while. I'm just not sure how that nut keeps working itself loose. I swear I put some Loctite on there and everything last time. But if you have any other problems, don't hesitate to give me a call, okay?
Okay. But I only give you a call if you'd stop calling me Miss Fremont. Try Barbara instead. I mean, good God, you make me feel like I'm ancient.
Agreed.
He smiles.
But you're definitely not ancient. You barely look old enough to be a grandma.
I should be calling you old, with that poor eyesight of yours. Now, what do I owe you?
She says, opening her checkbook and clicking her pen.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly charge you for that, ma'am. Please keep your money. It was my pleasure.
She keeps writing.
So now it's ma'am?
She shakes her head.
You're gonna take this money, young man, whether you like it or not.
She rips the check free.
You can't run a business and take care of your young ones if you're constantly giving old gals like me a break. Now, take it. You're one of the best, if not the best, handymen here in Charlotte. Own it, young man.
Owen sighs and accepts. Deep down, he knows she is right. There is no way he can afford to turn down the money she was giving him for his service. Business isn't exactly booming with so many competitive handymen in the area. And right now, this is his only source of income.
Just take it. You need the groceries.
He thought. He reaches for the check with a slow hand.
Thank you, Barbara.
He tucks the check into his back pocket. She holds a shushing finger over her lips.
I put a little extra in there for you. So don't say anything about the total around Mr. Free.
She quickly clamps her lips shut. Mr. Friedman comes shuffling into the kitchen in his house shoes, as if he were cross-country skiing. He makes his way over to the cabinet and throws them both a frowning glance before reaching for a drinking glass inside.
You two done jaw-jacking in here, or can I get a damn glass of water now? Gonna have me die of thirst out there, been waiting so long.
I could only hope. Get your dang water, Louis, and don't you dare start.
She leads Owen to the front door by his arm.
Thank you so much, Barbara. You've always been so kind to me.
That's only because you've been so good to us. Now talk nothing more about it.
She pulls him in for a quick hug, then sends him on his way down the walkway. He places his tools in the back of his tan Dodge pickup truck with the words, Handyman Mosley stenciled on the door in large italic yellow letters. He then gives her a single wave before pulling off. 4:17 p.m. Owen exits the gas station, clutching 2 wrapped single long-stem roses in his hand, when he notices a woman on the opposite side of the pump smiling at him. He ignores her obvious attempt to gain his attention, pops open his gas cap cover, and begins fueling his truck. As he waits for his tank to fill, he unwraps the flowers and tosses the plastic wrapping in a trash can next to the pump. The woman notices his wedding band and roses, then sucks her teeth. His phone chimes. It's a text from Rose. It reads,
"Why don't you just let them stay with us tonight?"
He huffs, then jams the phone back into his pocket. Suddenly annoyed, he glares at the gas pump's digital display as it reaches 52 cents shy of the $40 he prepaid. The small change wasn't worth the trip back inside and the long wait in line, so he squeezes the handle, forcing every drop he could. The tank overflows, spilling gas onto his boot. Every glistening gold drop that followed was like slow motion to him as he drifted off into thought. He started daydreaming of the day he was on his first date with Teresa, and she had accidentally spilled her soda on his brand new tennis shoes. A limited edition pair of original Nike Air Jordan 1s with a retro high band. Most men would have lost it instantly seeing the sticky substance ruining the laces, staining the leather, and soaking into the tongue. The hazel gray eyes Owen was lost in all evening became desperate as Teresa frantically looked for a napkin to bend down and wipe them off. He caught her by the arms and stood her up before she could reach them, planting a deep, warm kiss for the first time on the juicy lips he had imagined kissing all night. He's startled from his dream by an old woman staring at him from behind the wheel of an old Buick Skylark. She sticks her head out of the window.
Well, are you done, or are you just gonna sit there and block the damn pump?
He replaces the nozzle and cap without a word, then jumps back into his truck. Gently, he places the roses on the seat beside him and starts his truck, throwing the shifter into drive mode. Just before driving off, he catches a glimpse in his rear view of the old woman tossing her hands up impatiently. Owen creeps down a narrow cemetery path at 5 miles per hour. His brakes grind as he stops, gazing out of the driver's side window to a sea of headstones. The clouds gradually mask the sun, followed by a light rain falling to his windshield. With a heavy heart, he gently picks up one of the roses lying on the passenger seat, takes a deep breath, then steps out of the truck. He hikes the grassy incline, weaving through different headstones until he reaches one that is covered at the base by an assortment of fresh and old flowers. His eyes well up with tears as he moves a few of them to the side, revealing the name of Teresa Lynn Mosley. Carefully, he places his rose on top of the stone, drops his chin to his chest, and falls to his knees. The sun peeks through parted clouds once again, shining its light for the last time before nightfall. Owen stops his truck in front of a large, red colonial-style home, honks his horn, then waits. He notices someone peeking through the curtains from the living room, yet no one emerges from the front door. The curtains are thrown closed. After waiting for a few minutes, he grows increasingly impatient and decides to find out what the matter is.
Why do we have to go through this every day? Damn. Just send the damn kids out already.
He thought. He snatches the keys from the ignition and climbs out. Before ringing the doorbell, he takes a deep, calming breath, then presses the glowing white button. After a short time, he can hear the faint thundering of approaching steps before the door is yanked open with such force it created a vacuum-like pressure that gently and ever so slightly pulls him forward. A middle-aged black woman scowls at him as she stands in the opening, holding the door as if she'd like nothing more than to slam it back in his face. Her hair is pulled back tightly into a ponytail. Her thin, wine-colored cashmere sweater matches the Hillary Duff glasses she stared at him through with intense anger and disappointment. She purses her lips and grabs the door firmly.
"Did you not get my text?"
No, I'm sorry, Rose, I didn't.
She stands back, allowing 6-year-old Jacob Mosley to pass as he secures his Pokemon backpack to his shoulders. She places her hand on his head. Her fingernails nearly disappear into his thick black curly hair before kissing him on the cheek. He was a spitting image of his father as a child.
Bye, Gamma. Love you.
Jacob says, smiling as he sees his father.
Hey, Dad.
Owen kisses him on the forehead.
Go get in. The door's open.
Kay.
Owen refuses eye contact with Rose, hanging his head and looking down at the base of the door. He can feel the heat from Rose's gaze. She doesn't bat an eye. The last time he stared back at her, she took a couple swings at his face, and it took the full strength of Al, her husband and grandfather to the kids, to keep her from him. 14-year-old Kira Mosley approaches, her head down, and hugging an empty and near-deflated teal backpack to her chest. Her long, dark brown hair is braided back into thick cornrows and fluffed out at the back around her shoulders. Owen notices something different about her demeanor and her lack of eye contact, quickly glancing at him through her mother's hazel gray eyes. Not the usual greeting with a smile. Instead, she shares the same disapproving expression as her grandmother, whom is kissing her on the cheek. She squeezes by Owen without a word, avoiding any physical contact as if he were a filthy homeless man reeking of feces and begging for change in a store parking lot.
Hi, baby. How was the last day of school?
She keeps walking without a word, joining her brother in the back seat and slamming the door shut. Owen turns to address Rose, but the door slams loudly in his face. Any closer, and he would have had the permanent smell of her wood door in his nose. He hangs his head once again. The closer he gets to the truck, he could see Kira, her eyes fixed forward while attempting to sink back into her seat, as if she were trying to keep him from her field of vision.
Kira, you could ride up here up front with me. There's plenty of room,
he says, climbing in.
No, I'm good.
She rolls her eyes.
Can I?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I do.
Kira frowns.
You can't have a car seat in the front seat, Dad. He's too young.
Her tone and angry, soul-piercing eyes punched him painfully deep in the chest. He never heard her speak to him like this before.
What the hell? Did I miss a birthday? Something at her school I should have been to? Is she finally going through her womanly change?
He thought.
Yeah, she's right, Jacob.
He turns the key to the ignition.
I forgot that. I'm sorry.
If Mom were here, she'd remember. And why does it smell like gas in here?
Owen holds his tongue while placing the truck into drive. He glances back at her through the rearview mirror as she stares angrily through the window. Discreetly, he turns his attention to the passenger seat and contemplates the fate of the single rose he intended on giving her. Then, with the quick sleight-of-hand skills of an amateur magician, he covers it with a clipboard. The highway is still slightly congested with stop-and-go rush-hour traffic. Periodically, Owen checks the rearview mirror, looking back at his troubled daughter gently cradling a folded piece of tissue paper in her hand. Jacob is fast asleep.
Are you okay back there?
No reply. Instead, she shakes her head and rolls her eyes so high her pupils nearly disappear into her forehead.
Excuse me, young lady. I asked you a question.
Yes. Okay. I'm fine.
Did I do something to you?
Traffic begins to move.
No.
Well, can you tell me why you look and seem so upset with me right now? Your attitude seems to be directed at me.
He says, still looking at her through the mirror, hoping to get some sort of eye contact. She grimaces while watching a little boy in the car next to them, who is rummaging through his nose with his index finger. The boy shows no shame, smiling at her as he continues stretching the insides of his nostrils. Owen slams on the brakes, nearly hitting a stopped car in front of them.
Jesus, Dad? You gonna kill us too?
Owen's heart sinks, not from the close call from the car, but from his daughter's outburst.
What do you mean by that, Kira? What is that supposed to mean?
Jacob is awakened from his nap, rubbing his eyes and wiping the drool from the corners of his mouth.
Nothing. Just drive, Dad, please. Just drive.
The traffic is moving again, and the cars behind them begin impatiently honking their horns. Kira's eyes well with tears, but she wipes them before one can fall. One loud, drawn-out horn blows, which breaks Owen from his stare. He closes the large gap between him and the car in front.
Can we get Oreos when we get home? Grandma already fed us, but she didn't have dessert.
Sure, little man. I don't see why not.
As soon as Owen pulls his truck into the driveway of their large, modern colonial-style home, accented with dark gray and white trim, Kira jumps out before the truck could come to a complete stop. Before Owen could fix his mouth to yell at her, she was already halfway up the front step. Smiling, she stops in front of the door, drops her book bag, and kneels in front of the brass-plated mail slot. She raises the flap slowly, giggling as she looks inside the dimly lit foyer, then drops it closed with a clank. Slowly, she raises it again, looks inside a little longer, then drops it again. Once more, even slower this time. The small hinges squeal as she peers inside. She pokes out a pouting bottom lip just as a large beige and black spotted paw lunges out and swipes playfully at the opening. Kira jumps back and giggles. Owen approaches from behind, carrying Jacob slumped over his shoulder in one arm and fumbling the keys with the other. His heart grows heavy every time he passes the for sale sign on the front lawn. When he opens the door, a large beige African serval cat is standing in the opening like an Egyptian statue. Her large ears are perked up, and her tail happily thrashing, sweeping about the floor.
Hi, Jinx.
Kira says, kneeling down to pet her.
Where's Ducky? Go get Ducky.
Jinx gallops to the living room and Kira follows, dropping her bag in the middle of the foyer. Owen squats down and picks up today's mail, some having been chewed on corners. He sets Jacob down on the living room couch and begins sorting through the stack.
Nothing but junk mail and bills,
he thought. He lets out a huge, sighing breath when he sees the urgent stamp on both the electric and insurance bill, then tosses them on the foyer console table. The red digital display on his phone shows one voicemail waiting. Eager, he presses the play button in hopes that it's a call from the real estate agent, informing him of a possible offer for his home. The house had been up for sale since Teresa's death, and he'd hoped this would end his financial struggle.
Hey, big brother, it's Marley.
Owen lets out a disappointed sigh. He can already hear the slur in his little brother's words.
I really wish you'd just give me your cell phone number so I can get in contact with you. I mean, who has a home phone nowadays, big bro? Anyways, I was calling you to see if you'd changed your mind and given me some work. Teresa's passing is a big loss, and I know you could use the extra hand. Times are hard for you, I know, big bro. So you gotta let me help. At least until you sell that big-ass house. Hey, but what you need to sell is that big-ass cheetah Teresa left you with before it eats y'all's ass.
There's a pause. The sound of ice cubes hitting the bottom of a glass, and then he chuckled.
I bet you could get some good money for her. Call me.
Overwhelmed with defeat, Owen pinches the bridge of his nose and closes his eyes.
Why can't you stop that goddamn drinking, bro? I got enough problems already. I sure as hell can't include your mess.
Even though he's under the influence, he knows Marley is right. He could use the help, but he can't risk another episode even close to when Marley showed up late to a customer's home with the smell of peach Crown Royal on his breath. When a customer didn't want him working on their home in his condition, he referred to them as racist hillbillies. Owen lost some good-paying customers that day, and with having very few clients now, the risk was too great to allow him in. He's startled by the deep, mechanical belching sound of Ducky, carried firmly in the mouth by Jinx behind him. The Navy-themed stuffed duck, muscular and completed with his own sailor hat, stogie, and 5 o'clock shadow, is dropped to the floor where it belches again upon impact. 6:33 p.m. Owen is in the kitchen reading the back of a box of Hamburger Helper, while Kira, sitting at the kitchen table, is on the phone chatting away with her friend Nakia from school. He unpacks the ground beef and places it in the preheated skillet, then waves at Kira to get her attention. She rolls her eyes slightly and turns away.
Sweetie, can you keep an eye on this ground beef while I go unload my power tools in the truck?
Hold on, Nakia.
She covers the phone, then looks to the box on the counter.
Gross. Hamburger helper again? Sick.
Well, it's what we have right now. Besides, the last time we had that was a week or so ago.
No. Let's try 2 days ago. Dad. We had the beef stroganoff one, remember? God.
Oh, that's right. Well, this one is Mexican crunchy taco. You'll like it.
Kira places the phone back to her ear.
What are you guys having for dinner?
She frowns.
Really? Ugh, I love meatloaf. And mashed potatoes?
She places the phone on her chest again.
Can I go to Nakia's house for dinner?
No, you can't. You will stay here and eat dinner with your brother and me, as planned.
She scowls at him as he makes the gesture, pointing 2 fingers to his eyes, then to the sizzling skillet, before walking off to the front door.
Ugh, I hate living here.
She whispers into the receiver.
I wish I lived with my grandparents.
Hearing that, Owen pauses by the screen door, opens it, then closes it as if he had left. He can hear her sniffling quietly.
No, I can't. I wish he was still here because I hate him. I hate it here. It's not the same without her. And he acts like nothing happened. He should be dead, not her.
His heart shatters. He struggles to keep his bearing and not march back into the kitchen to make her hang up the phone. He knows that any action taken would result in things getting worse between them. Sadness and anger grow inside him as he steps outside, gently closing the screen door behind him. Though they live in a better part of the neighborhood, Owen still took precautions and locked his more expensive tools away every night. The neighborhood may be nice, but he knew that these types of neighborhoods were targets for criminals looking for high-end items. Besides, his truck screamed expensive tools inside, with the decals all over it. He wraps the cords and places the power tools neatly in a large tan bag before heading to the garage. He approaches the security panel next to the garage door. Immediately, the high school picture that Teresa used to show him proudly and repeatedly, dressed in her high school uniform, pops in his head. 36 was her jersey number when she played for Panther Creek High School. She constantly reminisced on her high school days and winning the game against her rival team, sending her team up to state. From that point on, 36 was her lucky number. She often told him that victory set the pace for her continued success. Owen enters 3636 on a security display panel. The large white 6x8-foot garage door slowly opens, revealing half of the garage packed with storage boxes and the other with a covered vehicle. The license plate on the bumper of the black BMW, partially showing under the car cover, reads 36ALLDY, 36 all day. Owen tosses his tools on the workbench, raising a small cloud of dirt and dust. In the window pane in front of him is a selfie-style picture of Teresa. The captured moment of her looking at the camera as she licks the top of a strawberry ice cream cone in a seductive manner is one of his favorite pictures of her. Owen removes the photo and, with his thumb, wipes away the dust that had settled on it. He recalls that night at the carnival while looking closer at the ring on her hand holding the cone. He missed how happy they were at the time and how great things were going financially. He felt they could rule the world. It was the perfect time to pop the question. She commented in the past about how cliché proposing with a diamond ring was, and how a real man, her soulmate, would know what she wanted. Just before she took this picture, high above the ground on the Ferris wheel, He reached into his pocket and removed a silver spider turquoise ring, her favorite stone. Owen smiles when thinking about how excited she was, and how he thought they would die and fall to their deaths with her flailing about and screaming like she did. She had eventually calmed down when she saw him clutching the safety bar, grimacing in fear. She looked at him with shimmering, teary gray eyes and kissed him deeply. The loud, piercing beep of the smoke detector interrupts his fondest memory.
The meat. Damn it, Kira,
he thought. He drops the picture and takes off in a sprint, nearly tripping over the storage boxes on the garage floor. He bursts through the back door into the kitchen, filled with smoke, and witnesses Kira fanning a skillet with a dish towel.
What the hell happened?
I don't know, the meat burned.
She whined with an attitude as Owen grabs a skillet from the oven and tosses it into the sink, running cold water over it.
It's not my fault.
Whose fault is it then, Kira?
He quickly calms himself, taking in a deep breath.
Kira, you were supposed to wash the meat like I asked. A simple job, one you've done before.
He cranks the faucet handle closed.
You're just too damn distracted by that damn phone. I'm sure of it. Your mother would have...
Kira looks up at him wide-eyed, her mouth dropped open. Without a word, she runs off, up the stairs into her bedroom, and slams the door shut. He throws a wooden spoon across the kitchen, splattering food on the wall.
Damn it, man.
He leans back against the sink.
Now what?
7:21 p.m. Later, Owen walks in the kitchen with 2 brown paper bags that were just delivered to his front door. Jacob is kneeling in his chair at the kitchen table, with a fork in one hand and a butter knife in the other, sword fighting against himself.
Go upstairs and get your sister, please. Tell her I have Chinese food if she wants it.
Jacob drops his fencing weapons to the table.
Kay!
Owen removes each oyster pail from the bag and places them neatly in the center of the table. The smell of the sesame chicken has his mouth watering. He admires the small spread of food while crushing the paper bag into a small ball. Jacob returns and hops back into his seat, grabs his fork, and reaches for the oyster pail full of white rice. Owen watches him, then steps out into the foyer to look upstairs. It's quiet.
Where's your sister?
Upstairs. I told her, but she said she doesn't want your stinking Chinese food. She told me not to say.
He frowns.
Thank you, Jacob.
Owen takes a deep breath and ascends the staircase to Kira's room. Through the closed door, he can hear her listening to Justin Bieber at a low volume. He hesitates for a moment, preparing himself for a verbal assault, then knocks.
Sweetie, you have to eat something. Why don't you come down and have dinner with us?
There's no answer, so he tries the door, but it's locked. He knocks once more.
Kira, open the door, baby. You know I don't like it when you guys lock these bedroom doors.
Her door vibrates from the thunderous music, now cranked up to full volume. He balls his fists and prepares to pound on the door, but instead drops his hands.
Fine.
He rejoins Jacob in the kitchen.
Okay, little man, it looks like it's just you and me for dinner this evening. But it's kind of late now, so as soon as you're done, off to bed, okay?
Kay, can I watch cartoons?
No, Jacob. You can watch them in the morning. Now eat, son.
I don't ever get to watch cartoons.
Come on, man. Don't start. You know the rules.
He smirks.
How about I make it up to you and we get you some donuts in the morning?
Jacob perks up.
Her chocolate crunchy ones? And a cake one?
Owen nods affectionately.
If that's what you want.
1:34 a.m. A tiny gray spider dangles above Jacob's bed, its 8 legs extended and fanned out wide. Slowly, it begins sliding down its silk thread towards Jacob. He is fast asleep in his quiet, moonlit room, cuddling an old toy Voltron robot in his arms. He rolls to his other side, accidentally hitting the button of the robot's chest. The sound wakes him. Jacob opens his eyes a little, immediately noticing the open door and flickering lights in the hallway. Jacob's curiosity takes him from underneath the covers and onto the carpet, grabbing his robot protector by the leg before venturing out into the hall and finding a very slight tinge of bravery in his Sesame Street pajamas. Cautiously, he walks past his father's bedroom, peeking inside to verify he was still asleep. Satisfied by the faint snoring in the dark room, he makes his way to the top of the stairs and then peers over the banister and down into the foyer. All of the lights are off, but the television light from the living room illuminates the foyer like a strobe light. The volume is low. There's a scream and dramatic music playing, followed by more aggressive flickering lights. He's not afraid, but grows more curious than before. The further he gets down the stairs, the clearer the sounds become.
Sounds like a scary movie,
He thought. The more intrigued he became, the wider his smile grows. His father would never allow him a night of horror movies, nothing even close to that nature. Goosebumps was shut down as soon as Owen discovered him watching it. No, Harry Potter was the closest thing to a scary movie he had ever seen, and even for that, he needed to beg for permission. His steps, on light 6-year-old feet, are stealthy as he closes in on the living room. On the screen, a woman is running through a forest, constantly looking back as she trips and falls about to try to evade her unseen pursuer. He holds his robot to his chest as he watches with intense, wide eyes. Whatever was chasing her seemed to be getting closer and closer. The music silenced as she began walking, the sound of leaves and sticks rustling and crunching under each step. Suddenly, the face of a decaying, zombified man appears from around a tree in the dark. His teeth are long and exposed from deteriorating gums and rotting lips. He lunges out at the unsuspecting woman, startling Jacob, who screams, backing away from the TV, when he's suddenly grabbed by the shoulders. He screams even louder, dropping his robot to the floor. From behind, his mouth is covered, muffling his whimpering.
Shh! Shut up, or Dad will hear you. You turd. What are you doing up anyways?
Kira says, releasing him. Jacob's heart is racing, but he is relieved it's just Kira.
I saw the TV from my room. What are you doing up?
Minding my business like you should be? Baby J. Go back to bed.
She points to the stairs.
Don't call me that. I hate that.
Shh. Jeez. If you're gonna stay up, then sit down and shut up.
She points to the couch.
And I'm not watching any cartoons. So if this stuff scares you, you better go back to bed now.
No, I'm going to stay right here with you.
Kira's angry expression turns to wide-eyed shock when she notices a spider crawling around on Jacob's shoulder.
Ew! Ew!
Quickly, she grabs a throw pillow from the couch.
What?
She swats Jacob on the side of the head, knocking him to the floor.
What the heck, Kira?
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
She frantically searches the floor with the pillow raised to strike again.
What was it?
A big gross spider.
Where is it?
She drops her defense.
I think it got away. Shit.
Oh, you said a curse.
Oh, shut up. If you're gonna stay down here, you can't be a little tattletale. Or I'll tell Dad I caught you down here watching Adult Swim.
Whatever.
I'm going to the kitchen to get some spray. Don't touch that controller.
As Kira disappears into the kitchen, Jacob slips underneath the blue blanket draped over the back of the couch. Saturday, 7:17 a.m. Owen awakens to Jinx's deep purring at his bedside, her nose gently nuzzling his cheek and jaw. When he opens his eyes, she is face to face with him, trilling to greet him.
Hey, girl, you hungry? Okay, move back so I can get up.
Her deep yowls let him know she is ready for breakfast. Jacob used to laugh because he thought she was saying now. Now that she had succeeded at getting him up, she would not stop meowing until her hunger was satisfied. Owen climbs out of bed, steps into his black corduroy slippers, then saunters down the hallway towards Jacob's room with Jinx close behind. Owen yawns deeply as he pushes Jacob's door open.
Hey, sir, you want some eggs?
He frowns at the sight of the empty bed. The sheets are ruffled and hanging off the side onto the floor. He looks further inside.
Maybe he's with Kira,
he thought. He shuffles down the hallway into her room with Jinx following closely, like a cat siren meowing every few seconds. He pushes Kira's door open. Empty.
Kira. Jacob.
He makes his way to the foyer a little faster, then down the stairs. He hears a faint muttering from the television downstairs, followed by a familiar jingle from a local car dealership's commercial. He lets out a silent sigh of relief when he finds them both wrapped under blankets and asleep on the couch. Jacob's arm is hanging off the side, with a death grip on the arm of his robot, barely touching the floor, and Kira with her toes at the back of his head. She's wrapped in a comforter cocoon, with a plate of half-eaten Chinese food on the coffee table in front of her. He gently pulls the blanket down from her face when one of 2 tea bags hits the floor. The other remains on her forehead.
What the hell?
He thought.
Kira, what's this on your head?
Huh?
She peels her eyes open, wiggles her arms free, and swipes her forehead, catching the other tea bag in her hand.
What the?
She kicks her brother, startling him from his sleep and causing him to drop the robot to the floor.
Wake up, turd! What did you put on me?
He sits up, rubbing his eyes.
What? I didn't do nothing.
Did you put this on your sister's head?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Why, Jacob?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Answer my question.
Owen kneels down next to him.
Have you been watching the late-night cartoons when I told you not to?
No.
Jacob.
Just a little.
Kira throws the tea bag at her brother, striking him in the neck.
He's been watching Adult Swim.
Stop it, Kira. Jacob Mosley. Man, I've told you repeatedly not to turn that garbage on, didn't I?
Yeah, but
Yeah, but what, Jacob?
I wanted Kira to be nicer to you. Jungle Jim said he had a bad night out with his date. She was mean. He said when she passed out asleep, he teabagged her forehead. So she woke up nicer then.
Owen's eyes buck open.
Hey, never mind. I'm sorry I asked.
Kira bicycle kicks her legs from under the comforter, nearly kicking Jacob in the head to escape.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Are you serious? You turd!
She stomps her way to the bathroom, wiping her head, and slams the door shut behind her. Owen chews at his bottom lip, looking away from Jacob, then purses his lips to suppress the humor that his son may detect on his face. It's taking all he could muster to remain stern and reinforce the rules.
That decides it, Jacob. I'm going to have to put a parental block on the cable. I should have done it a long time ago.
But Dad!
Don't all dad me. You knew better.
Jacob hangs his head.
Okay.
Go wash your hands for breakfast and apologize to your sister when she comes out.
Okay.
He perks up.
Are we gonna get donuts?
Do you think you deserve donuts after what you did?
He slumps forward, hanging his head again.
No. Well, can I have Captain Smash cereal?
I should make you oatmeal for what you did to your sister.
Ugh. Why do you buy that stuff, Dad? You don't even eat it.
'Cause it's cheap and it's good for you.
He stands and kisses Jacob on the forehead.
I think you have enough in there for one more bowl of cereal. After that, no more Captain Smash, okay?
Oh, man. Never?
Not never. Just for now. Go wash your hands.
Maybe one day we can actually get Captain Crunch.
Jacob says, running off. He squeezes past Kiera coming out of the bathroom, wiping her face with a damp cloth.
Kira, try to stay off the phone today, please. I have a couple phone calls I'm expecting today. Very important.
With a contempt expression, Kira rolls her eyes.
You wouldn't have to worry about missing a call if you didn't have that ancient home phone service. You don't even have call waiting. Why didn't you just give them your cell phone number?
Oh, 'cause I have a cheaper phone service, Kira. And a lot of times I don't get a good signal in parts of the house. I don't have much money.
You know how things are right now, Kira. Why are you giving me such a hard time? Take it easy. I am trying my best.
She pushes past him, throws the damp towel on the couch, and strides up the steps to her room. Owen looks down at Jinx, staring back up at him.
You gonna give me a hard time too?
We want to thank you for listening. And if you liked the video, please be sure to subscribe and crush that like button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Until next time.